this time.
Well, okay, guys. So I forgot to unmute the mics. So real quick, hey everybody, welcome to the PC Gamer Show for August 7th, 2019. I'm your host James Davenport. With me today is brand director Tim Clark.
Pleasure to be back, James. I'll consider this as a demerit on your performance. Otherwise, good.
Producing shows is hard. Like I look at, we'll introduce you in a second, Chris. But like I look at like I have this tiny little battle station, and almost every week I inevitably forget to do something because talking, keeping the show moving at a quick pace, and even like moving my simple elements around and maintaining like checking chat and Twitch health. That is alone. It feels like patting my head and rubbing my belly. But watching or getting a glimpse at the PC Gamer Show at E3 this year, seeing the mission control for that, it's like, to me it's like it's a miracle live television isn't constantly just fucking up all the time. It's bonkers the stuff that goes into this. So kudos to everyone out there who behind the scenes, all the engineers and production people. It's wild. Anyway, if this sounds out of context, it's because I screwed up the intro and forgot to unmute the mic, so we had to do it again. Chris Livingston, staff writer, is here as well. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good. Nice to see both of you.
Yeah, it's been a while since we had this mix on this particular flavor of editorial. Yeah.
Have Chris and I ever been on together? What if we don't gel?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Tim, you got like the one-liners. Chris is sort of the good dry humor, and
Is that what you're reducing me to, James? The one-liners?
I mean, you got great one-liners, Tim.
Am I a joke to you?
You're very good at making them. You're funny, vibrant personality.
Over the course of the next
God, here we go. Yeah. What's happening in PC games? We got some stuff to talk about. It's typically these are the slow weeks of summer, but stuff's happening anyway. We're gonna talk about, Ninja. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Ninja, not the man necessarily, but the symbolism of his leap from Twitch to exclusively streaming on Mixer. We're gonna talk about Chris's hands-on with the Outer Worlds, and you got like to spend an hour or so playing that. Is that right?
Yeah, it was like a little over an hour, maybe like hour 15 or so.
Gotcha. And this is Obsidian's new first-person sci-fi RPG, so we're pretty excited about that. And Tim is going to finally give us the verdict, or at least his how many days has Saviors of Uldum, am I saying that right, been out?
Yeah, perfect, yeah.
Right on.
I came out yesterday. At like 1 p.m. Eastern.
Right on. So we're gonna hear right from the card expert's mouth how the cards are. Can we get a hint?
I can justify the fact that I spent the afternoon playing it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I had to bring that information to this audience who are waiting with bated breath to find out what the verdict is.
It's work. All you have to do is say
a ranked 5 player.
It only counts for the show though, and it only counts for work if you played it on a PC. Was it on a phone?
I did play on a PC.
Okay.
Let me. I can tease you my verdict and say I have been losing a lot. I've been losing in ways I didn't think it was possible to lose.
That sounds like a good thing to me, but maybe not. We'll see.
Really?
We'll see. Maybe it could be.
You are not
surprising.
The raging fire that is my tilting brain then.
Okay. Well, we'll unpack that later on in the show. But why don't we start with highlights of the week? And highlights of the week are anything that stood out to us in PC gaming, whether it's something we played, read, or adjacent to our hobby that we think is worth sharing. And why don't we start with let's start with Chris. What's up, Chris? What's your highlight of the week?
Well, I have been spending a lot of time gambling.
Good.
Not in real life. This is in GTA Online. They added a casino, the Diamond Casino, to the online world. And there's, slot machines. There's some table games, not the one I wanted, which would have been full-on poker. They have like crappy 3-card poker, which I don't know. I think Tyler described it as the game you walk past on your way to play a real casino game. And I kind of agree. They do have blackjack, which is, I'm not a huge fan of blackjack, but it's fun to kind of sit down. And roulette, which I don't really play because I don't find that kind of gambling that interesting. Like guessing what number something's going to fall on seems kind of lame. But it's a nice looking casino. There's like a penthouse you can get, which leads to missions because, of course, there's some shady shit going on, and there's casino style heists. I guess I haven't played any of the heists yet, but I know I'm getting more phone calls. I don't know if you've played GTA online at all, but the phone just never stops ringing with criminals calling you. But something kind of interesting. I was in the casino the other night playing the slot machines, and there was a NPC sitting next to me also playing the slot machine. So I'm like, well, we'll see who wins something first. And I noticed the NPC was winning very quickly and very regularly. So I spent so much time I'm embarrassed about it just watching NPCs playing slot machines. Why would I spend a night of my life,
highlight of the week,
of my finite life?
Well, how much time are we talking? I think we need a number.
It was probably 2 hours in the evening and then 1 in the morning, because I was just curious. Like I would walk through the casino and see people with slot machines, and they were just constantly winning. Like not other players, the NPCs, and I was like, this seems kind of shady to me. That these NPCs are hitting these jackpots all the time, and by the way, am never hitting them. So I did write about that. It's somewhere on the site. I eventually decided that I should try to act like an NPC. So instead of wearing this white suit and white top hat that I wear all the time, I went out and bought this kind of regular NPC outfit and drove a normal car and sort of pretended to hang around in the casino like I'm having conversations with other NPCs to see if that would give me the kind of luck that they seem to be having, because I was rather infuriated by it.
I bet real casinos would love it if they could have fake characters pretending to win all the time. Maybe they do.
I bet they do. Wasn't there
Is that legal?
I would think not, but
there was a movie about it was about the cooler, the guy who had such bad luck the casino paid him to hang around successful gamblers when they started winning too much, because he was such a jinx that he would go and stand by them and they would just start losing. Which
But isn't it one of those, from the people I know who used to play fruit machines, as we call them back in England? Is that weird to Americans? Do you call them fruit machines?
Freak machines?
No, fruit machines.
Fruit machines.
Because of the cherries and stuff which roll around.
No.
It was seen as really poor form if you watch someone lose a week's paycheck in the machine, leave the machine, and then you go on play two goes and win. That was seen as sharking and would be cause to be beaten up, basically.
That's really.
Yeah, I know.
Isn't that pure luck?
Yeah, but you're no, because the machine at some point has to pay out, right? It has certainly in Europe anyway, by law it has to pay out overall 30% of the money that's put into it or whatever. So if someone's sunk a load of money, you know that that machine's kind of hot. That might not be true. Do not follow my gambling. That may not be
Tim knows.
Yeah, people in the pub I used to work in, that's what they would do. With the barman would watch you lose all your money, and then as soon as you left the pub, would go and play the game.
Play.
Yeah,
beautiful. GTA Casino update. So that's been out for about a week or so. You think you're going to play much more of it, Chris? Is there anything beyond what you've just losing, actual casino experiences?
I mean, it's really kind of uninteractive. I can't talk to the NPCs in there. They don't walk around there's a waiter who walks around, but they just sit there. They will never get up from the slot machine they're playing. So it's kind of a really static, and you can't punch anyone. You can't even sprint. There's not much to do in there except, sit down and play a table game or maybe talk to your friends or something in the actual casino. I don't know. It's kind of fun. I wish they did have proper poker. I mean, Red Dead Online has proper poker, and I'd be like, why wouldn't you put that in your GTA casino where everyone's going to be? But maybe they'll add that someday. I don't know. It is kind of weird too that you can, obviously gambling is a big topic with games and loot boxes and spending real money and not knowing what you're going to do. And obviously you can buy, shark cards and buy GTA cash and then go into the casino and exchange it for chips and use that to gamble. So I guess that's kind of a weird thing. I don't know if people are up in arms about it. I guess it's pretty blatantly gambling, so maybe it's not like a loot box kind of thing. But I don't know. I've been doing probably more of it than I should. So I haven't spent any real money. So
It's what a weird. The games are always going to be weird, like finding new ways to be morally fraught, and I don't know. It's part of our job, I guess, to ask those
they
questions.
They do give you. I think $1,000 in free chips every day, and there's also it's like one of those super big prize wheels that you can spin for free once a day. That you can win like a car or some outfit or some chips or cash or other prizes. So, even if you don't want to spend even any of your fake money, you can still go in, get some chips, play a couple games, spin the big wheel.
Okay,
it's fun.
All right. GTA Online still growing. Still no Red Dead on PC. Rumors of a bully, I guess, but those keep getting disproven. I don't know. What are you doing, Rockstar? All right. Cool. Right on. I linked to the entire article. Chris has a whole article about gambling and losing with some pretty good gifts in there, as usual. So check that out in chat. Tim, looks like your highlight here is the topic at hand anyway. So,
well, I don't know about topic, but
okay.
Aside from that, I've been wasting my time in a different way, which is I've been upgrading my Solstice of Heroes armor.
Oh,
in
right.
Destiny.
I meant to ask how that's going. I haven't dipped into it at all.
It's like grind isn't a big enough word for it. It's like you get these. This is a celebration, like the end of year celebration that Destiny does, which is essentially like busy work to try and fill the time before the next expansion launches, which just got pushed back to 1st of October. The expansion is called Shadowkeep, and that's also the free-to-play version of the game called New Light, both coming out October the 1st now. It was going to be September the 17th.
Right. Delayed.
So in the kind of interim, you get given these kind of this basic armor set, which looks really trashy, and then you have to go through this incredible hamster wheel to upgrade it to this version that's really ornate and can have these beautiful ornamented kind of like neon projections. Although actually you have to like buy those either with in-game money or actual money, and they're not.
What?
They're quite expensive. It's like $8 for like a set of friggin' light bulbs, basically.
Okay.
And the tasks you have to do, like just to upgrade like one piece of armor, it might be like play 10 gambit matches, kill like 100 things with grenades, generate like 1,500 orbs of light. Orbs of light are kind of what pop out when you shoot stuff. Some of it is really egregious. The good side of it is they did add this like new little mini activity called the European Aerial Zone, which, as the name suggests, is this kind of a zone in Europe, which is has a lot of verticality to it. You can kind of do a lot of bouncing around, and you kind of hunt bosses down and collect stuff. Chests at the end you can open. There's a fun game where you only sort of see them for a second, then you'll go racing off around the map to try and find them. It is still busy work. Like I don't think it would sustain interest much beyond the fact you kind of have to do it if you want this gear. I don't know why I'm doing it really beyond this insane sense of completionism. If you do all 3 sets, and I play a lot, just like a sick amount. To do one set took me like 3 or 4 days of pretty like intense evening play.
Yowza.
Yeah, and like if you do all 3 across the 3 classes, you just get a sparrow, one of the little bikes in the game, but it's like it's purple. And then when I inspected it, it's called the Void Streak, and when I expected it, it didn't have a purple exhaust, and I was like livid, like actually livid. Like I'm 43 years old, and like I was upset. I don't know what's wrong with me, James.
You like the game?
How do I end this?
Destiny 3. Destiny 3 comes out.
Yeah, just don't play it.
What I said to my other half is I said, oh, they've put some more stuff in the game to grind. Isn't that great? Because I actually like an excuse to go in and just shoot. I just like shooting the guns, really. So if they provide almost any excuse, I'm pleased. But even I found like how repetitive this stuff was a bit of a bind. The problem is like we're going to come to the Hearthstone expansion later. I can only play so much Hearthstone without getting furious. Whereas Destiny, I can play an almost unlimited amount as long as I've got like a film on the other screen or I'm listening to a podcast or something. But like Hearthstone, I have to concentrate, which makes it hard to truly zone out in the way that I want to. And I also get so angry, James.
I haven't seen that, but
The anger.
yeah, I'm kind of curious to know what
There was a time when we were in. Do you want to hear this anecdote?
Jilted Tim. Yeah, sure.
There was a time when we were in our old office in South San Francisco, and Tyler and I were the only ones in the office. Evan was away, so that meant like, misbehaviour obviously ensued. And I got really close to hitting legend rank for the first ever time on the last day of the season. And I said to Tyler, like, it was after my lunch break. I was like, Tyler, should I keep going? Like, I'm so close. And Tyler obviously said, yeah, of course, you have to keep going, rather than you should go back to work. So I played, obviously got to like within one match of making it, then lost more, then won a couple, and then lost all of the games. Like I tanked back down to rank 5 on like a terminal velocity kind of fall. And by the end, my head honestly felt like it had been put in a microwave. I was like sad, furious, just disgusted with myself.
Do you get yelly or what? Sorry, go on.
It's more this just deep existential pit. Like I was saying this to someone earlier, was despite the fact I know that like the game is designed so that you win like close to 50% of the time. Whenever I win, I think it's because I'm a genius and have like brilliantly outplayed the other person. But then consequently, like when I lose, I kind of blame myself as well and go, I'm a moron. Like, why am I so bad? I'm trash. Instead of, sometimes you're just not meant to win. I had an interesting conversation, then I'll shut up about this, like with Ben Brode before he left Blizzard. And because I'd always go into interviews and go, oh, people hate this deck. They hate it so much. Like, what are you going to do about this deck? It's making everyone mad. And he was like, the fundamental problem isn't any of the decks or cards, really. It's that people just don't like losing. Like, and they're never going to like losing. It's always going to suck to lose. And you can kind of try and make it so they lose in ways where they feel, I don't know, less cheated or like it was a good game. But the reality is you fucking hate losing. Like, it's never. You always want to crush your opponent.
That's interesting because I've been thinking about that kind of player feedback in an ongoing game, like specifically related to Fortnite, and how, I don't know if you're aware, but they added mechs recently, and I'll talk more about this later. But they added mechs to the game in season 10, and they're very, very powerful. They're 2-player vehicles, so there's like sort of a cost there to run them efficiently. You need someone who's cooperative. And
so is it kind of like an AT-AT? I saw the headline you wrote that people were mad. And
I don't know. I think that was our weekend guys wrote that. But yeah, the if you go to the subreddits, the competitive subreddit or just the regular subreddit, it's like meme after meme or video after video or text post after text post of just people upset these things exist because they have missile barrages and shotguns and they have good mobility and they can stomp you and they have a lot of health and anytime Epic adds something new to the game like this that disrupts the habits people have built around like building and gunplay, like and mobility, like their usual, the core pillars of Fortnite, it's just total chaos. And it's because I don't know, sometimes they can be balanced like poorly, but these are professional game developers who usually have an idea in mind when they introduce these things. So whether it's the ballers or the airplanes or these, the reaction is always the same. Fucking vault it now. But I gotta wonder if it's like you said, if it's just people just don't like losing to things that they don't, they don't like losing the game, and these things disrupt their habits and kill them in ways that they like are just not prepared for. And as soon as they have to prepare or like think about the game differently, it becomes a balance problem rather than a problem with their own habits. So,
I remember reading some really interesting stuff from some of the Destiny 2 sandbox guys who were talking about how, because all these developers have access to the internal data, right? They can see if they're not idiots, of course they're not. They can see when something is overtuned and performing outside of the window of expectation they had when they created it. But both they and the Hearthstone guys, I when speaking to them, have said that they do have to consider like how something makes you feel, like the manner of being beaten by something. Sometimes just if you feel like you had no counterplay or there's all sorts of things that go into balance that aren't necessarily just like the actual performance. Do you know what I mean? In the same in the same way as like the sound effect of a gun can make you think about its performance very differently. Stuff that seems like it should be irrelevant actually colors your experience of it a lot.
Yeah, true.
That said, Blizzard need to nerf Warrior. It is a joke at the moment.
They're actively sabotaging us at this point. That's what the subreddit or the Fortnite subreddit constantly thinks. They constantly think Epic is out to get them, which is it's pretty funny to me in a detached way. But I don't know, like it's funny because these mechs. Maybe let's talk about my highlight real quick. Is Fortnite Season 10 and these mechs. I like the mechs a lot because they're fun to pilot. It's like little Titanfall bursts of Titanfall in your Fortnite. They just drop randomly on the map. Everyone can see them. So there are these points of interest. I think it's like 2 at a time drop. So you get these points of interest that you can run to or sort of avoid. And I like what that does to how I think about how I'm going to move across the map. Like that's an obstacle or an incentive, you know? It also, they vaulted a lot of the ATV and the baller. So the only way to get around the map quickly is and gliders. So the redeployable gliders. So the only way to get around the map quickly is through zip lines or the drift boards, the little snowboards. So you got to really, really consider traversal again. I don't know. I like the mechs for that. They also added a fully automatic sniper rifle, which feels like a direct sort of response to, or like their way of giving folks a counter to these mechs, because they're really, really dangerous when they're close to you, but from a distance you can chip away at their health and destroy them really, really easy. So I don't know. I feel like they're counter. You can also boogie bomb them. So you know that disco ball grenade that you've probably seen from Fortnite. You throw it at people and it forces them to dance. You can do that to a mech, and it will knock the people out of the mech instantly, and give you some time to counter. Another cool counter I've seen is if one of the drivers leaves or you kill one, because you can shoot them while they're in the vehicle, you can hop into the vehicle and initiate a self-destruct sequence and then hop out, which is great because it just a huge explosion ensues, and it usually kills whoever was driving or people nearby or yourself. It's just total chaos. So I like them a lot. I also like it's the big theme of this season, it's called Season X, is it's sort of a best of, or like a victory lap, a retrospective on the last 10 seasons of Fortnite. Time is twisted, and so or at least like some of the major points of interest have been reverted to old points of interest with twists, or are going to as the season progresses. Like recently, Tilted Towers, which was recently turned into Neo Tilted, like a futuristic cyberpunk city, has been reverted to. It's really cool. So you when you walk into it, like you pass through this like invisible field that dresses you in cowboy attire, and it's a no build zone now and no destroy zone. So there's like this big pocket of the map where you can't build, you can't destroy stuff. It's just an arena shooter, which is like a really cool change of pace and a really cool I don't know, for me, someone who's not the best builders, I can reliably go there and probably do okay, do better than normal. It's sort of a relief from the tension of knowing that I'm going to come across some like 14-year-old millionaire who can like just summon a skyscraper instantaneously.
James, does the fact that it is a best of imply that you think like next season will be like a fresh start of some sorts?
That's what I'm thinking. Like this feels like, okay, 10 it's 10 seasons and Season X, they're calling Season X. It's the first time they've it's the Roman numeral, but they insist it's like, I've seen Nick Chester, their PR guy, like insist it's called Season X, not 10. It sounds like sort of a point for starting over, especially because like the map is just such a, after Season 10 or Season 9 completed, like it's just such a hodgepodge of layers and layers of history, and I don't know, some of them, there are like huge inconsistencies across the map for that reason. Like different spots are better for resources, some are like they kind of Tilted Towers fell out of fashion. I don't know, it became a little messy. So I'm really thinking that this next season, especially because like this is a retrospective, or it feels like that it's going to be, all the skins and stuff are like remixed skins from throughout the 10 seasons and so on. It definitely feels like the next season is going to be a new map or Save the World is going to finally become free to play. I don't know. Like it feels like personally they really need a new map. And I don't mean that's not because like what they're doing is not interesting, the way they refresh it in small ways, but I think Epic has demonstrated all these really cool ideas in the points of interest that they've like remixed or added or changed. And I would love to see, and they know what the game is now. Like when the original map was designed, it was designed sort of not knowing how people were going to take the building and run with it, or what items they would add, or what, you know. So I think a new map could really demonstrate what they've learned along the way and be much more interesting going forward. Plus, sort of like I think like if it needs to, if they want Fortnite to stay alive, and it's totally healthy, completely healthy game. Like I think the concurrence for the last, Tim Sweeney's on record saying the concurrence for the last in-game event were nearing the all-time high. So anything you see on Twitch about like a dying game, it's probably not true. I think just like a visual refresh overall, and a design refresh that gets people to build and play in different ways, that is sort of incentivized by new map design, like a totally new experimental map. I think it's overdue. But
I wanted to ask about whether they would do a new map, but I didn't want to seem like a noob who didn't understand because it was something that everyone already knew the answer to. But, yeah, that's interesting.
You see it. I don't know. Like I've noticed it, the thirst for it rising quite a bit more as seasons.
I mean, is the reason they haven't because of? Do you think it's a combination of like the sheer amount of work that would require in terms of new assets and balance, or is it that they don't want to? Because I remember when PUBG introduced its like second map, and there was like initially excitement about it, and then people seemed to think it was bad. I may be remembering that wrong, Chris. You played more PUBG at the time.
Yeah, I think there was kind of this like, yay, we're getting this desert map and it looks cool, but I think initially like people weren't very fond of it, which was a surprise to me because it looked pretty cool. But it was that kind of thing, and then I think initially too, like you didn't have a choice. Like you would start playing and it would put you on one of the two maps, but you couldn't choose, so they had to put in like a map selection option kind of thing. Which is also interesting because, like, you know, in talking to Brendan Green a few times over the years, one of the kind of the design tenets for Battle Royale from his perspective was like he wanted it to be this like anti Counter-Strike thing where you don't just have these maps and you memorize the routes and you become this like perfectly oiled machine, you know, based on this knowledge of this map. He wanted it to always be like every round should be different and a surprise, and you should always be kind of off balance. And when you see, you know, changes come to something like PUBG or Fortnite, you know, you feel this resistance from players because it, you know, we still want to play games that way. I think part of it's like the mechs, like you were saying, you know, people don't like to lose, but it's also like it's this wrench in the works of this thing that you've kind of committed to muscle memory, that can be kind of like, I guess, off-putting, even though like the origins of Battle Royale are in this idea that like you should just not be dealing with the expected stuff all the time. It should always be kind of a change up thrown your way. So
yeah, adaptation. I always like I think ability to adapt is the most essential skill in Battle Royale, and I think I don't know. I won't keep talking about this season because I'm still playing it, but I think a new map is the ultimate sort of shake up for Fortnite, especially because it's been 10 seasons, which feels like 10 years, but it's only been like what, a year and a half, 2 years. I think we're due for it. I don't want new maps to come out frequently or anything like that, but you can sort of mark different eras in the design of the game, and I think a new map built with all of the tools they have made so far in mind would be really interesting. I think refreshing. So I'm curious. I'm really curious. A lot of shit talking in the chat about Fortnite from Apollo. Not surprised there, but let's move on to something adjacent to Fortnite, which is Ninja. You guys know this man, Tyler Ninja Blevins. He's a big time streamer on Twitch.
I'm aware of his work, James.
His work. Yeah. We're not here to talk about the man himself, like what you think of him and whether you watch him or not. Like, it doesn't really matter. But symbolically, he's made some waves in the streaming scene overall. So this last week, Ninja announced that he was ditching Twitch to stream exclusively on Mixer. The details of that agreement are not public, so we don't know for how long, how much money was exchanged, like if he has an hourly requirement to hit every day or every week or what. But he's streaming exclusively on Mixer now. He's also part of that deal was working in partnership with Mixer as a representative of sorts. So you're going to see him at events and in some advertising and so on, which is I don't know. To me, it's really interesting because Mixer is owned by Microsoft. So this is Microsoft through Mixer making some big plays to make their streaming platform more appealing or lucrative, as opposed to Twitch's sort of dominance over the last however many years it's been active. So a couple milestones. Within a week, Ninja hit 1 million subs on Mixer. Keep in mind, those subs are free for a week or two or a month maybe, and it's going to be interesting to see how those fall off or whatever after the fact. But
How
it's
much
worked out well.
How much do subs cost on?
That's a good question. Actually, I'm gonna look that up right now.
Because it's like $5 a month on Twitch. Is that correct?
It's probably
Or
comparable.
You can use your Prime membership if you have one.
Well, I can't really tell because I'm subbed. I'm subbed to Ninja, you guys. It was free, but it seems to mirror Twitch quite a bit. I think it's like a $5 subscription or something like that.
Presumably, those subs will expire after a month in the same way as Twitch Prime subs expire.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I would think so. And so I'm curious to see how much retention there is. Either way, I don't know. It doesn't really matter because this was a move Ninja made, presumably because Twitch is such a volatile platform and maintaining your subs is a tall order. You have to be constantly streaming and be online all the time, constantly pushing and reminding people to sub because those Twitch Prime subs especially do not auto renew. If you sub through Twitch, they will auto renew, but the Twitch Prime subs, which I think probably account for a lot of subscriptions, seeing how many people use Amazon and have a Prime subscription. Yeah, it's a volatile thing. And Ninja, gosh, at his peak last March, 2018, was making $500,000 a month, not exclusively from Twitch, but he did state that the majority of that was from Twitch subscriptions and donations and so on. And if you checked his stats just a couple weeks ago, they paled in comparison. Largely, probably because he's been busier and he's become more of a public figure or a celebrity than just a Twitch celebrity, and so he's been doing commercials and marketing and partnerships that require not streaming, taking time from that. So it's not a surprise that his subscriptions go down, but it's, it kind of shows the tension there, like staying prolific versus like keeping that income high. But I kind of want to ask you two, like, does this like mark the start of something like the streaming wars between Twitch and Mixer? Is this like the starting gun for you, or what does this say to you about Mixer's intent or the future of streaming online video games?
I mean, is he definitely like the first to have some kind of contract with Mixer to be exclusive, or do they I would imagine they must have had other streamers on there who are exclusive to
partners
Mixer.
And such.
Yeah, partners.
Yeah, I would imagine too. This is a big nab though, and to me it feels
huge.
It feels like a deliberate.
I would have to feel like a lot of other big Twitch streamers are having conversations now about like what kind of deal can I get, or either you could go to Mixer and say, hey, I would be interested in doing an exclusive deal, but you can also go to Twitch and go, you better give me some kind of deal or I will try to get an exclusive deal with Mixer. It would seem like a big door has just opened in terms of making some sort of exclusivity deals with either one of them.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to start seeing these platforms poaching streamers like players in pro sports? Is this going to be like an annual thing when the contracts renew? Who's aligned with who?
I think you'll see a bit of it. I think it says a few things, right? It says, one, Microsoft is not giving up on streaming and believes it's a long-term play. Two, it must have felt that it was so far behind that it had to do something as dramatic as throwing an enormous sack full of cash at the best known streamer. And I think at that point, there's no even discussion about why he moved. Like, it's obvious he's moving because it's a massive sack full of cash, and he'd be a fool not to. So I think everyone could kind of understand that. I think it's been, as someone who kind of observes these things, interesting to see the reaction to this move, where everyone said, "Hey, it's great that there's competition. He should go where the money is," versus some of the developers this week who've announced their games are going to be on Epic. I don't want to come across as the Epic defender, and have received quite a different response, I would say. Partly because perhaps some of their language was unnecessarily kind of spicy, but thought we were all grown up enough not to get that upset by that, but have been proved wrong. So I think it's interesting to see how people regard different things which are trying to be monopolies versus their competitors, which I think you see in all walks of life, but you certainly see at the moment in terms of the platforms that distribute PC games and the platforms which people are using to play them on for subs money. Where am I going with this? I don't even know anymore. You can also make like really easy comparisons with stuff like sports or TV rights.
Yeah.
Like back home in England where I come from, when it was the kind of great dawn of the Premier League, Sky Sports, owned by Murdoch, then spent an enormous amount of money to get the football rights, because that was the jewel in the crown, and only something that big would be enough to make people switch platforms, right? And I think one of the things with the Ninja thing is, yes, you'll probably see some of the other really big streamers, court these sorts of deals and take them up. But I don't think actually it makes that much difference for the smaller folk, right? They're going to be kind of attracted to whichever ecosystem gives them the best chance of reaching, an audience and scratching out a living. For a lot of them, I suspect that's still probably Twitch for now.
Yeah.
Although Twitch clearly has its own issues. The thing I'm skeptical about is that I was listening to some content creators this week on a podcast, and they were talking about how good it was for content creators generally, because the success of one big person like that kind of lifts all ships up. And I don't know that I buy that any more than I think like Brad Pitt getting paid $20 million for a film helps some like rep actor in an off-Broadway show. I don't think it does really. It's very aspirational. I kind of fear a bit. A lot of people out there will be kind of jamming away at OBS going, if I just grind harder, I'm going to make it, where in fact they probably are doomed to streaming to 20 people, 3 of whom are bots, 4 of which are family, 5 of which are people who just clicked it by accident.
God, grim.
I don't want to depress you, James. The thing streaming always this is an anecdote or a comparison I make many times, you're probably sick of hearing, but it always reminds me of the kind of the rush to be DJs back in the 90s. Everyone kind of bought turntables and thought they could be the next Armand van Helden and travel around Europe playing Ibiza and stuff. And like the reality is that kind of success in every walk of life is like bottled lightning. So whilst it's cool to watch Ninja and Shroud and think, well, I like games and I like talking and I'm kind of funny, maybe that could be me too, the answer is it's probably not. You go back to school.
Thanks, Tim. Just crushed. Gosh,
Old man Clark.
A lot of dreams.
Yeah. Or use proving me wrong as the inspiration to push you over the top.
Exactly. I would like to imagine that, but I really don't believe this at all, that this kind of deal signifies the start of stability on these platforms for maybe more tiers of streamers, contracts that ensure a set amount of income over a certain amount of time, versus constantly having to grind. I don't know if that'll ever happen, because your viewership drives the income for these websites, their revenue. So I don't know if that's a safe bet that they can contract people out like regularly across the board. But I don't know. I think at the very least, this is going to. I mean, we got some stats from Streamlabs, a Streamlabs study here, that shows Mixer has increased 357% year over year, hours watched, excuse me, and that hours streamed have increased by 43%. Quarter over quarter, and so it's growing. And obviously Microsoft, this is pre-Ninja, Microsoft is showing that they, another streaming platform can coexist and be lucrative and just as safe for a certain type of viewership and streamer as Twitch is. But I don't know. I don't know if this is going to significantly change anything overall. And I kind of wonder how long Ninja's contract is for, because when that runs up, and when I don't know, when his free subs period runs up, I just really wonder where he's going to be sitting.
It's win-win for him though, right? Because
Yeah.
I imagine he's under contract for a while, but like in this, to go back to the sporting comparison, make the money now while you're young and the game's hot. He could probably retire he could retire now, I'm sure.
Oh, I know.
But when his deal expires, he could go back to Twitch. I'm sure they'll welcome him back with open arms.
Go back to his roots.
It means he's much less, with guaranteed income, like you said, James. I think you're spot on about stability. It means he's much less beholden to the success or failure of Fortnite in the future, and can probably afford to, maybe go more variety if he so chooses, or just frigging work less.
I really wonder. I saw this Polygon article speculating that Microsoft brought him on board not just to be the face of Mixer, but to potentially push whatever the next Xbox is. He got his start playing, streaming Halo and playing Halo professionally. So it's like sort of a symbolic thing to maybe push a new Xbox with tight Mixer integration. You can stream from your Xbox like Ninja, and Ninja's playing Halo, and he's using all these new Microsoft Cloud features.
Maybe you'll be able to control your cable TV with your new Xbox.
Just by talking to
James,
it.
Wouldn't that be the dream?
Yeah, or you could use hand gestures or something. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. God, remember Kinect? I don't know. I don't know. Any closing thoughts on this subject? It's something I feel like we need to be.
I say good luck to the young man. He's done very well for himself.
He doesn't need any good luck. He, like you said, he could retire.
Well, congratulations, then, James.
Yeah, sure. Good job, buddy. Right on. Let's move to the most exciting topic of the day, if you ask me. No offense, card guy, but I want to know what this Outer Worlds game is about. This is Obsidian's first-person sci-fi RPG published by Private Division. That's Take-Two's sort of like smaller game label. I don't know how they're classifying what they publish on that. But Chris, you got to play it for a while.
Yeah, actually, Phil Savage, also our UK editor, we both got to play at different times, but the same sort of chunk of game. They basically dropped us onto a planet called Monarch. This was not the start of the game. The characters we had were level 11 characters, and we were on not the planet you start out on, but I think the second planet you visit, or third planet, or something like that. So we had these pre-made kind of, level 12 characters, and already had 2 companions, and they kind of dropped us on this planet in front of one of the towns, and just said, like, you can go to the town, you can turn around and go the other direction, you can do whatever you want for 90 minutes or so, which is, like, I gotta say, like that sucks in a way, because like a game like this, you just suddenly feel like completely tense, because it's like, all right, I want to do a bunch of different things to get kind of a nice look at combat and dialogue and quests and sights and exploration and stealth, but at the same time, it's like there's so it's open. It's not a complete open world, but this planet is open world. You can walk around wherever you want and go into towns and buildings and stuff. That like 90 minutes is like you're just passing all this stuff, like all these people, these NPCs walking around these buildings. You know, I walked into an insurance office and talked to this insurance agent, and she had a lot of funny things to say about the various types of insurance they sell on this planet. And like I could see, like she had a stairway up to her, you know, upstairs, and there were drawers, and there was a terminal, and it was like I really would like to spend my time just skulking around in her office and going through her files and stealing things and, you know, trying to hack various things. And, you know, it's like this pressure in this short period of time to like want to see so much stuff that you really want to do and be like, no, I better go see what the combat's like or see what the, you know, this quest does. But yeah, this kind of reinforced my general excitement for the game. I think the characters I did talk to are fun. They're interesting. They're well written. The voice work's really good. You can sense the possibilities in a, you know, throughout one conversation, because, you know, your responses back to whatever they're saying, you'll see like I can use persuasion, I can lie, I can intimidate them, I can be nice, I can be an asshole. And you pick one, you go on, and you can just see these kind of branching, all this branching stuff you want to explore but can't at the moment, but you can tell it's there. And you know, it's that kind of that RPG we've been looking for since you know, New Vegas, where you just feel like, you know, each stop along this quest line in terms of conversation is like, I've taken this quest from this person, I go and do something and talk to someone else. You know, here's my choice. I can screw over the person who just gave me the quest. I can screw over this person here. When you go back to the first person, you can lie about what happened. You can be honest about what happened. And you can just kind of sense that wonderful, like, oh, there's a lot of different ways to play the game and a lot of different ways to build my own perception of my own character. It does seem very promising in that respect, even just from an hour and a half of, you know, I think I had a few conversations. Phil did a few quests. I did a few quests. And, you know, I'm excited for that. If there's something I'm not super excited about, it's the combat. It wasn't terrible by any means. It was, I would say, okay. It just feels a bit stiff.
I was going to say, watching this footage, it looks very much in the tradition of New Vegas combat. It's just kind of that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask Chris, is this the game I should play if I didn't like the combat or jankiness of Fallouts? And I feel like now I've been answered.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I wouldn't really say it's janky. I mean, Fallout game just feels super messy. This doesn't really feel messy. It just doesn't. I don't know. Firing the even the big guns didn't like leave me feeling like, wow, I'm really chewing up this alien monster with this heavy machine gun. It was just sort of like you put the crosshairs on him and you hold down the mouse. I didn't really feel a lot from that. It wasn't especially. I don't know. But, you know, like that said, I only had 3 weapons in the game. I didn't really even find any other big or interesting guns. Phil got his hands on like a flamethrower at one point.
Were you able to see like if there are skilled, like a part of a skill upgrade system that feeds into mobility or combat skills that might hint at something more interesting or more interesting tactics and stuff?
There are definitely like a lot of skills and perks, and they all, you know, they're for movement, they're for dodging, they're for, you know, type of like being more skilled with a certain type of weapon, like energy weapons or ballistic weapons. It seemed like a lot in there. I didn't get to obviously build my own character, but just looking through the various skill levels and skill tiers, that you can, it does feel pretty robust in terms of like, I want to be good at this thing, and there's lots of ways to pour points into that particular thing, whether it's explosives or energy weapons or, you know, science weapons or whatever. It does feel pretty robust in that sense without actually getting to do it, just looking through the various menus.
Gotcha.
do you find like not doing character creation like hurts your kind of experience when it comes to these sorts of games? I remember going to like a Dragon Age Origins preview probably, and I wasted like about an hour out of my 3 hours making a character that I was never going to see again. I was like really doing the cheekbones and stuff, and they were going, "You've got to stop, just play."
I mean, I think getting dropped into a pre-made character, you know, I'm just a void. Like I don't know who I am. I don't know like how I'm really approaching this stuff other than as kind of I'm going to observe the various ways I can handle this conversation as opposed to like, well, when I created myself, I kind of thought maybe I'm kind of an asshole or self-interested mercenary, and that's how I'm going to approach this conversation. You know, it's not a great way to really experience role playing in a role playing game is in an hour. It's just not going to work. But it does feel like the potential for some good role playing is there. You know, it feels very like Obsidian, and which is exciting if you're a fan of their games.
I
Yeah,
remember seeing Skyrim demo at E3 like many years ago now, and I think you got like 40 minutes to play Skyrim, and you're just kind of like, well, I've got a good sense of the scope of this game now.
It is pretty panic inducing when like you get these big open. You go to a preview event, and it's an RPG or a big open game, like Borderlands 3 when I previewed it earlier this year, and they're just like, okay, you have 3 hours, go. And you're like, wait, okay, so am I gonna go for like the checklist preview that knocks off, you know, goes through the main quests and just covers the bases, or am I gonna do that like real niche like focused preview that finds that one weird thing that no one else does? Or it's tough being a games journalist, you know. So like I don't know, like looking at this video, I'm also wondering. A big thing for me that I'm skeptical about is I'm not totally sold on the setting or the world design. I don't really have a sense of scale or scope when it comes to the Outer Worlds. Did you feel like it was fun to explore and fun to sort of dig through these environments?
I'm far more interested in the settlements, the towns,
Gotcha.
Because that's where the people are out in the wilds. The only thing I really found were like a lot of angry dinosaur type aliens. I thought it, you know, to me, at least in this demo, the exploration I really wanted to do was indoors. Like I wanted to snoop around in people's offices, and I wanted to, you know, talk to them and find out what made them tick, and you know, screw them over after they gave me a quest and that kind of thing. Outdoors, there wasn't. I mean, you know, at least on this one planet, I wasn't particularly blown away by how it looked or what was kind of out there. It was mainly there was like a road, and if you went off the road, there were angry monsters trying to kill you.
Gotcha. So it seems to be just more focused on character or the characters, excuse me, and I don't know. These environments are just like sort of spaces to do combat in or to communicate scale rather than to be like have hidden nuggets and side quests you stumble into constantly throughout.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Like, yeah. I didn't really do much freeform exploring. Gotcha. I did. Okay. I went to a quest which was out in the wilderness, and then came back from that. There were like a couple little buildings out there. There's little locations you can come across. So there, you know, it's possible there's tons of stuff out there to find. But in terms of like this demo, the more intriguing areas were like these towns and these characters and the kind of, you know, criminal types there and the people there and kind of their little worlds and their little stories that I found more interesting than anything I saw like outside.
Gotcha. So about the tone and like the character, I guess, did you find time to get invested in any particular quests that were funny or interesting or subversive or gave you an opportunity to do something cool, or did it seem just sort of like setting up or giving you a little taste of everything rather than to show you that those choices are possible?
I did one. I met this woman, Catherine, who kind of seems like she's kind of the boss of the town. She runs a hotel, kind of like the Al Swearingen of this town called Fallbrook. And she there was a factory owner, a factory outside of town, and she was a little unhappy that he was making so much money, so she wanted him kind of dealt with, which I was happy to do. And it sounded like there were a lot of different ways you could accomplish this. You can like sabotage this guy's factory, like by poisoning his livestock, by sabotaging the machinery. You could just straight up go in there, shooting your guns and kill everyone there. You can sneak in through a secret entrance. I chose a disguises as my way in to kind of disguise myself as a factory worker, which is like basically a hologram that makes you look like you're supposed to be in this restricted area. Its power runs down every time you move, so you kind of have a limited time before a guard will be like, who the hell are you? At which point you can perform a speech check. You can lie again. You can intimidate. You can try to charm them, or whatever your skill check wants to be. And I was a little disappointed, I gotta say, like, because when I actually did get to this factory owner, I was hoping to like double cross Catherine, but it didn't. As far as I could tell, it didn't give me the option, so I just had to waste him. But it did seem like a mission that you could do kind of any way you wanted, depending on the kind of play style that you do. You can use stealth or deception or combat or sneaky sabotage type stuff. So that was fun, and there is definitely a lot of the whole idea is corporations have created a government on these kind of like far-flung planets, and there is a lot of that kind of feeling of like a corporation and government being merged into this one kind of idea, and kind of how screwed up that really is and how awful it is. It's all about profits, and it's all about that's the main concern of this government is profits, which is not
right.
Doesn't really sound like sci-fi much when you say it like that. It sounds like reality, but there definitely feels like there's a lot of I don't know, not messages, but certainly a lot of humor and sort of winks and sort of that sort of general feeling about the world. Like, this is what happens when corporate and government are one and the same.
I dig that,
Yeah.
especially in a frontier space setting. It seems like a nice, silly place to play around with that. All these wacky animals and no protections because you're so isolated and desperate. Cool. And anything else we should know about the Outer Worlds? Your time with it? Is this coming this year? Yeah.
Yeah, October.
Jeez. Oh God.
How is it running, Chris? Were you playing on PC presumably?
Yeah, I played on PC. It ran really well. This was not a finished build. There were some bugs, and there were some, I looked up at the sky at one point, and it was like, that looks like a skybox isn't working right, and there was some little issues here and there. But it was an unfinished build. But I don't it all felt very smooth. I don't have the specs of the PC I was playing on, but it felt good, and I'm always appreciative to go to a demo event and get a PC with a mouse and keyboard instead of a controller or a PS4 version of the game. So I was pretty psyched.
The footage I've seen look really nice. I really like the art style. Like I said, I think it's probably not for me because it's probably not the kind of combat I look for, but I'll enjoy reading about Chris's stories.
I really like the look of the characters. They're very kind of lively. If you're talking about like talking face to face with someone in a Fallout game, an NPC in the Fallout game, it's like this weird kind of dead-eye thing. But I thought these characters look and that they're very appealing to talk to. You don't feel like you're talking to a weird puppet.
It's got like a lush color palette as well. If you're like over the brown of Fallout, then this feels like a refreshing change.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see the other planets in the game as opposed to just Monarch. So I'm still psyched. I still have some
spoiler. The other
thoughts.
planets are all brown.
They're all brown. They're called Brown 1, Brown 2, Brown 3.
The Outer Worlds. Cool. You can watch that whole video. I'll link to it in chat, but we've got, like an hour or so. It's a big, long video. You can watch on PCGamer.com.
And that's my footage combined with Phil's footage.
Right.
I think there's probably about a half hour from both of us in there. Phil did some kind of cool missions. He had a murder investigation. What was his other mission? Oh, he had a missing person. A woman was trying to find her son. So he had some kind of cool missions in a totally different part of the world than I did. I walked right into the town in front of me, and Phil is more adventurous, and he turned around and walked the other direction and had a whole other set of adventures. So
that's a good sign. That's a good sign to me.
Yeah.
Right on. Cool. I am looking forward to that still. I'm trying to like not watch as much of it as possible because I just want it to arrive and just dive into it and maybe take an extra day or two off because I love these kind of first-person RPGs, especially Obsidian. It's exciting.
Same here.
Right on. Cool. Let's move on and let's talk about some cards. Anyone down? Talk some cards. So
it's time, James. It's time.
Saviors of Uldum. Yeah. Uldum. Doom. That's an M at the end. So we talked sort of about some of the cards revealed a couple weeks ago, but now it's out. It's been out for a day. Tim, you played it. You said at the top of the show you're losing in ways you didn't know you could, or something like that.
Getting my ass kicked, James.
You're getting your ass kicked, and I thought that was maybe a good thing. Like maybe they'd mixed the game up to such a degree that you had to completely readapt in some fun and interesting ways, but it doesn't seem to be the case.
So it's interesting to me that like coming into the expansion, a lot of the kind of the pros and the streamers and the kind of experts were saying that this was a very powerful set. And I think like on the evidence of 24 hours play, that has been the case. There's definitely some really bananas stuff going on. When I said I was like losing to weird stuff, like that's it, to a degree that's always kind of the case. The first couple of days, first week even, you will see people like piloting some pretty janky, strange stuff. I think what stood out to me is even decks where I thought, oh, I've got this in the bag because I'm playing something that's actually fairly standard, will suddenly do something midway through the game, and I just go, what the fuck? Like, how this is what's going to beat me? Like, let me give you an example. So most people thought Paladin got terrible cards, but there's this one card in Paladin called Tip the Scales, and the text on Tip the Scales reads, summon 7 Murlocs from your deck. 7 is a lot, James. It's a lot.
That does sound like a lot.
Yeah, it's
a
lot of fish dudes.
Okay.
But then I think it costs 8, so that's a lot as well. So everyone just kind of wrote it off. But there's also a card in Paladin called Prismatic Lens, and that one reads, summon or draw a minion, i.e. creature from your deck, and a spell, and then swap their costs. So if you make a deck that only contains Murlocs, cheap, shitty Murlocs, and this one spell to summon all the Murlocs, you can get that shit off on like turn 5. So you're cruising along against these Murlocs, right? Killing them, this is fine. Next thing you know, there's like fish fucking everywhere, dude. There's fish in the ceiling, there's fish in your clothes, and you've lost the game most probably. So that would probably not end up being a good deck, but stuff like that, just like the first time you see it, like really catches you off guard. And that is the fun of it, right? Like one of the things that's been kind of nagging me, and Luke Winky, one of our writers, wrote about this at the weekend, is I think there's a bit of a danger with Hearthstone is that because the player base is so big and because people generally have got better and better at evaluating what synergies are going to be good and what kind of how to build decks over time, that the game gets sold more and more quickly. And I worry still, and like Blizzard, to be fair to them, have been getting better at trying to like maintain interest by making tweaks to formats, or recently they did, I think I spoke last time I was on the show about they for the first time buff some stuff. But I worry a bit that as exciting as Saviors of Uldum is, I think it's going to be an expansion that could end up being solved quite quickly. And one of the reasons for that is each class, there are 9 classes in the game, got a quest card. Quests are things they begin in your hand automatically. It's a 1 mana card, so you can always, every game you can play them if you want, unless you mulligan them away. And they ask you to do certain things. So the Shaman quest asks you to play like 6 Battle Cry minions. The Rogue quest asks you to draw 4 cards that aren't from your class, which you can do this kind of janky ways. And then if you do that, the quest completes, and unlike previously in the last set, which had quests, you don't have to play the card, it auto completes, and your hero power switches. The reward for the rogue one is you get you can play a 3/2 weapon, which whatever you hit, you don't take damage from, which sounds boring. Turns out maybe not amazing, or that one's hard to evaluate at the moment. The shaman one is bananas. Your hero power becomes any of your battle cries double, so you get twice the effect. So if you have ones which summon shit or do damage, you're getting kind of twice the value. This Austin on Games Radar and I were absolutely bemoaning how strong
that does sound pretty busted from my limited knowledge.
We'll just every now and then we'll slack each other, going fuck, and then like just this stream of complaint about whatever's just happened to us in the game. Other things to note, I would say, are Blizzard has a current policy of when they release an expansion, they tend to like wait another 2-3 weeks and then like nerf whichever card going into the expansion was kind of a problem, because they almost want to give it a chance to see if an expansion will fix it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm increasingly of a mind that that's a mistake. I think like you're seeing people still play on the ladder, like Conjurer Mage and various versions of Warrior using Dr. Boom, which were insanely strong, and it feels like a bit of a buzzkill when you've kind of cracked all your packs to then like run into someone running this brutally efficient optimized deck from the last expansion. You know what I mean? Like obviously, like to a degree, you can't people doing that, and that's how they get their rocks off too. I understand it. There's, as I said earlier, winning is inherently more than losing. But at the same time, like some of those decks do really feel like we've known they were over-tuned for a while, and like I would have liked to have seen them change specifically Conjurer's Calling in Mage and Dr. Boom in Mad Genius, which is a card, Chris, in Warrior before this one started. But generally speaking, I'm optimistic. I think, like, is it going to kind of pull everyone back from playing the auto battler games? Probably not. Are there still like a ton of people who like Hearthstone and get excited about new expansions? Also, yes. I had a bit of a kind of fear with this expansion that because they were revisiting the League of Explorers and this quest mechanic, it might feel a little bit old hat, but I think they've managed to kind of avoid that by just printing some stuff that's absolutely insane. Before we wrap card talk, I would like to tell you about one card which is really, really cool. Another thing that Luke wrote about on the site is a card called, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, Zephyrus the Wonderful.
Okay.
Zephyrus is like a 2-mana 3/2, so sounds quite unassuming. He only gets his effect if you play him in a singleton deck, and a singleton deck is one that contains only one copy of each card, no duplicates. But you can like play him late when you've kind of expended all your duplicates, so that's obviously like pretty high variance to do. His way's cool, right? I will get to the point. His effect is his card text reads: pick from three perfect cards or dream cards. I'll look it up while I'm talking, or someone else can. So what is a dream card, right? Because Hearthstone has been full of like discover effects and draw effects. This is like Blizzard described it as the most complicated AI they've ever built for one card. And what Zephyrus does is the card looks at the board state, so what your opponent's got in play, what you've got in play, how many cards you've got, and how much mana you've got, and picks the card for the situation. He picks 3 cards for the situation you get to choose from.
That sounds busted.
And it's really, well, yeah, so there's, like I said, there's preconditions from using him, so not every deck can run him.
Right.
So examples I would give is like, if you just play him on an empty board, your opponent hasn't got anything, you haven't got anything, he'll give you like, his options might be like a really great creature to play on next turn that fits the cost perfectly. He might offer you the card that lets you ramp up your mana to try to get you to more expensive plays. Or he might give you like a weapon to play. But here's where it gets cool, right? In more situational examples, like say your opponent has tons of stuff on the board, he'll offer you like a spell of the correct cost, if he can, that wipes the board. If there is a way you could deliver lethal damage, he will find that spell for you. He only picks from like the basic or classic sets, which is I think because they don't want to have to update in with every expansion, and there's a lot of good cards in those sets. But he'll find some really like intricate lethal damage stuff that you might not even have considered, and he can pick from any class as well. So he gives you access to stuff you would never be able to.
That's
touch
what I was going to ask. So it's not just from your deck; it's from the catalog.
Oh no, it's
available.
all the cards in the base.
That's fucking wild. Set. That's cool.
Yeah. And so like if your opponent's got a weapon up, he'll offer you a card that destroys weapons. Say your opponent has got a Murloc in play, he'll offer you a crab that eats Murlocs, right?
I love the idea of like being on the receiving end of that and just knowing that three three turns are gonna fuck you
Dude,
over in specific.
you can't even be mad. Yeah, you can't even be mad. Like I had this really full board, but the
Yeah.
way the numbers on my creatures were spaced out, my opponent played Zephyrus, and he got a spell that like killed all of them perfectly, and I was just like, I guess that's game over.
That's fun.
I think it's a fascinating piece of like AI work they've done. I remember like interviewing them about cards before, and they say there's usually like a kind of crown jewel couple of cards where they really will like go the extra mile. And I think that, I was interviewing one of them, and he sort of said, it began as the question, could we do this?
Mm.
And then I guess, should we do this?
They
But
did.
it's been really fun. Yeah, I was lucky enough to get like a golden one with the packs I pre-ordered. I know you're not supposed to pre-order, but there we go. And I've tried it out. Go ahead.
Sorry. Is this the kind of card that you'll eventually see a counter card to? So if someone uses this, you have a card that says like, this makes the Zephyrus Wonder guy pick something completely shitty? I mean, how do you?
Well, the thing is, you pick.
Like
the thing is, you pick. He gives you 3 options, and like you're obviously limited by. If you're miles behind on the board, there's only so much Zephyrus can do, right? He can't invent new cards. Like he can only offer you ones that He apparently like biases towards a card you could play on that turn. So if it's turn 10 and you play Zephyrus for 2, he'll look for things which cost 8. So it's been interesting. People are already working out how to kind of manipulate his choices so that if you wanted to play something next turn, you would actually wait until you spent all your other mana before playing Zephyrus, because then he'll look for something which costs the amount your next turn is. He's not going to be perfect. They said that there were like buckets of cards he tended to pick from, which included like spells which removed things, creatures to play, and I forget what the other one was. But like they kind of, I think when they were doing the AI, they created these kind of categories that he would consider. I'm sure there'll be times when people say, why didn't he offer me this card? That was the one I actually wanted. But you have to remember, he doesn't look at the cards in your hand. He can't do that, because I think that would just be too complicated. One of the coolest things I read was, though, the Warlock can turn into another hero called Lord Jaraxxus, and Jaraxxus is actually a demon. And there's a spell in the game called Sacrificial Pact, which kills any demon. And if you play Zephyrus and your opponent is in Jaraxxus, Zephyrus will offer you that spell and go, you can just kill the hero like instantly from whatever health. I think it's the kind of thing which is Hearthstone's always best when it leans into being a digital card game and does stuff that a paper card game couldn't do. So yeah, like hats off to them. Like that's definitely the most interesting card in the expansion.
That's the kind of stuff I would love to see more of going forward. And I get that it's a huge. That sounds like a nightmare to make on top of the game that already exists, which is compounded layers and layers of compounding rules. And
I mean, it's also a nightmare to balance, right? Because imagine if they make all that AI and then the card's just like not very good because they've made it cost too much, or it's too good and everyone hates it because it's just dominant. As it is at the moment, it feels like it's really in a sweet spot where, to Chris's point, it doesn't feel overpowered, because by nature, if you're playing Zephyrus, you're playing a deck with only one-offs. So there'd be a lot of games you don't even see him, you don't even draw him, just because he's at the bottom of your 30 cards. So yeah, that's been really well received, that card.
Cool. Any closing comments on Saviors of Uldum? It seems to me that it's just sort of like it's a decent expansion. It's not going to change the game. It's just.
I think right now we're in the honeymoon period. Yeah. I'd say it is going to change the game. It seems like a really powerful set. I think we might come back in 2 weeks and I'll say, oh my god, it's actually degenerate. There's these 3 things which are so annoying.
The cycle
but at the moment,
continues.
Yeah, at the moment we're in the happy part, even though
you're in the QA period.
Yeah.
It's got to be a nightmare to make those expansions.
They work on 3 at a time as well, which is the other thing. I think that's why. You get things like I mentioned with Conjurer's Calling and Dr. Boom, is that they're working on a meta game which is like several expansions on the line when they're balancing stuff. So it must be very hard, kind of in the mindset of always what's happening now as well. They have to work so far out in advance.
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of curious. Do you think they have to do some big title update to grab attention back from these auto battlers, or do you think that's something Blizzard's thinking about or is
I think
worried
it's something.
about?
I think it's something they should have done a while ago. Honestly,
Yeah.
like it's had the same. Although that I know they've changed a lot of stuff to do with how the code works in the background, because I think it was a bit spaghetti coded for a while. Um, People have complained for some time about the lack of like new features, and in their defense, they have released more and better PvE stuff, and there's a PvE mode coming to Uldum next month, which I'm sure will be cool. The last one was cool. But stuff like tournament mode or like a two-player co-op mode, just other ways of playing, like a speed mode is something people talked about for a while, where it's like every turn had a max of 30 seconds. It feels like there were things like that which could and should have been tried, but I guess like the team is comparatively small at Blizzard, and like it does have to keep tanking out 3 expansions a year, so I'm sure it's like much easier said than done of just
Yeah.
change your client and introduce loads of new features. But the fact is, it is what, like a 5-year-old game now or more, and is in a lot of ways unchanged. Whether they would do that in the response to the auto battles, I think probably not. I think like they think longer term, but they may surprise us, down the line with a more substantial update. The other thing you have to remember is the game has to work and run on phones and tablets as well.
Yeah, it's tall order.
It's already a
That's
massive,
yeah.
multi-gigabyte download.
Yeah, that's the way things are going though. Is
it's still fun.
Put your game on phones too.
I think if you hop in now, you get like a free quest as well for the first, I don't know, a couple of weeks that the expansion's live. If you just log in, you'll get a free legendary quest, so you can try one out.
Yeah, join Tim, everybody, and play the game that makes you extremely happy and then extremely just fiery hot and sad.
The sweet
sad
tilt.
Some whiplash. Right on. Well, thanks for the update, Tim. Looking forward to talking to you again in like 3 months, something like that. What's the cycle?
I'll be back for Shadowkeep, I reckon, in October.
Right.
How about that?
Right. Oh, I'll be playing that.
Be back on.
Cool. Well, why don't we move on and close out the show with a couple questions from our listeners, and we're gonna start off with some questions from our PC Gamer Club Discord. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to club.pcgamer.com to find out more. We prioritize questions from them, but if you have questions in Twitch chat, just tag PC Gamer. Anything about PC games? Anything on your mind regarding this beautiful hobby we have? And we'll see if we have time to answer it. But let's start off with a question from Apollo, the troll in chat, who was doing a great job shit talking Fortnite throughout my entire monologue. So nice work. You're dependable. Apollo asks, with all the releases for independent games these days, all the releases, so I guess talking about the how many games, the abundance of independent games coming out, and he gives a couple examples, Hollow Knight, Spelunky, etc. What indie game do you want to see get a sequel? Any gems come to mind from the last couple of years that you really want to see more of? Nothing?
One of my favorite indie games the last few years was Duskers. Was a kind of roguelike, you like a roguelike survival game. You're in space. You have these drones that you send to derelict spaceships to search for resources, and there's like really spooky kind of aliens behind doors, and you kind of have to like control the doors to get your you kind of use the functions of the space station to try to move your drones through the spaceship safely. That was really fun. I think it's a really fun atmospheric aliens kind of vibe of a game, and I would definitely love to see a sequel to that.
Right on. Fun story. So I got to see that game. Gosh, it was years pre PC Gamer. I went to PAX on my own, as press for just some blog my friends and I had, and I was extremely dehydrated and had 2 beers. I tagged along with a bunch of people to I'm forgetting the name of the creator, Tim something, I don't know, but he was showing off this game on a laptop in its like earliest stage, and I'm looking at it, I'm watching it, and suddenly just get a wave of nausea and just puke in his toilet for the next like 30 minutes. It was great. So that's my first experience with Duskers. But anyway, Tim, any independent games you want to see a sequel to? I don't know if you've played any in your entire life, so it's going to be a tough one for you.
I've played plenty. I would say not a direct sequel, but I would love to see a spiritual sequel to Inside from that studio.
Oh, for sure. I mean, anything that studio puts out, and I'm forgetting the name. Play Dead.
And also, like, one of my favorite independent games, Her Story, is getting a sequel very soon. Again, spiritual sequel in Telling Lies, which is out. Should I look up when it's out?
Later this year?
It's definitely this year. I thought it was like next month.
More ambitious by a long shot. I'm pretty excited for that.
The release date still just says 2019, apparently. I thought they announced a release date at E3. Let me check. Nope, just still says.
They're at our show.
On Steam.
Okay, so right on.
Yeah.
Telling Lies, and it's got 4 hot celebs embroiled in.
It's got the man who looks exactly like.
It's Tom Hardy.
Yeah, but isn't Tom Hardy.
Yeah, still very handsome. I was in the room with him at the PC Gaming Show. I just sweating.
I saw him with his top off, James.
Intensely attractive human. Like it's crazy. Good shouts there. For me, I would say, there's so many, but I think I would love to see more Thumper, or just another music game from them. It doesn't.
What are they doing?
I don't know. I should check in on that, but no doubt plugging away at something. I Thumper was incredible to me, and I would love to see those ideas expressed further, or to see how they do some arcane, spooky, what do they call it? Rhythm violence game. I love that shit. So more of that, please. Besides that, gosh, that's tough. There's the Aquatic Adventure of the Last Human was a very lo-fi sort of Metroidvania. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Game that I liked a lot, and I would love to see more of. Really stripped down and simple systems, but very challenging and fun and beautiful, and a lot of fun to explore. Anything from Amanita Studios, like Samaras 3. I want Samaras 4, 5, and 6. Botanicula 2, Machinarium 2, all that stuff. I love those beautiful little pointy clicky adventure games from Eastern Europe. I forget exactly where they're at. Yeah, there's a couple from me. Cool. Thanks for the question, Apollo. Hopefully that helped out for you. I would say Hollow Knight, but Hollow Knight's getting a full-on sequel pretty soon, too. Acid Wolf, we'll close out with this one. Asks, well, it's the hot minute round, so pick one from each of the following pairs, and don't think about it too hard. Okay. Oh, this is a good one for Tim. Hunter or Warlock?
Don't think about it, Hunter. Does he mean in Destiny, or does he mean in Hearthstone?
These are all Destiny themed, it appears. So, Hunter or Warlock? Warlock?
Warlock in Destiny.
Warlock also. Chris, do you have an opinion?
I've never played Destiny, so I'll say Hunter.
Wow, controversial.
Sounds like a cool thing to be.
Chris, you'd be a Titan for sure, I would say.
Yeah, you got a Titan vibe.
I appreciate that. I don't know what that means, but it sounds good. Don't explain it. It might be an insult.
Let it sit. 2, hand cannon or pulse rifle?
Ooh, both. Hand cannon.
Pulse rifle.
Close though.
I like a satisfying 3 burst.
I've got like a God Roll spare rations with rapid hit and rampage. It's incredible. It's really hard to get.
That would mean something to me if I had a wiki open, but I'm happy.
The more you hit headshots, the faster it reloads and the more damage it does. It's really
perfect.
cool looking as well. It's got kind of like a light captured inside it. It looks kind of like it's from another age. It's a really cool gun.
Excellent.
That sounds good. I'll take that.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, this one does not necessarily apply to just Destiny, but PvP or PvE?
E, 100%.
E?
P makes me furious, as we've established.
Chris?
Yeah, I'll take PvE. Although I don't know, sometimes I'm trying to think about games where there's both that I've been playing lately, and would it be Sea of Thieves?
Yeah.
And I definitely really like PvP in that. It's just so much fun bombing other pirate ships, and also the in Sea of Thieves isn't that great. Like fighting skeletons kind of sucks.
It's pretty bad. Yeah, context matters here, but oh gosh, PvE for me. I'm a solo player for the most part, but I like a good competitive bout depending on what it is. Like Sea of Thieves or Fortnite Team Rumble, which is just mindless shooting and fun. It's a great time. Or gosh, I kind of missed the 2005 to 2015 when it felt like every 2 years like a new arena shooter would come out and it would be the hot shit for like 3 months or maybe 6 months if it was really successful, and those games were financially feasible. So you could just hop around and get something new every couple months. But now, like, Lawbreakers comes out and is dead immediately. Unless it's one of the top dogs, it's just not going to happen anymore. That was a good era of PvP for me. But no. Yeah.
Poor Lawbreakers.
Yeah. Poor Lawbreakers. That was a good game.
It was. I played it. And it was fun.
Yeah.
I was shocked. Well, not shocked. I was a little surprised it never really took off.
A weird one. But anyway, that's going to do it for us today on the PC Gamer Show. You can catch us every Wednesday here at twitch.tv/PCGamer at 1 p.m. Pacific time, or as I learned today while crunching numbers for Tim, 4 p.m. Eastern time.
Unless we get an exclusive deal with Mixer.
Yeah, Mixer, if you're watching, get that checkbook out because Daddy want a new vacation home. Where else can you watch us? Oh yeah, you can catch us after the fact at youtube.com/PCGamer if you want to watch the video on demand, or you can get it in audio format at pcgamer.com/tag/podcast. There you can find our RSS feed. You can find us on the iTunes store. Just the iTunes. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Google Play, Anchor.fm, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can listen to us there.
Are we on Stitcher?
I can get us on Stitcher, so maybe I'll just do that. Does anyone use Stitcher?
I got a subscription to it.
It's got good comedy stuff on there, some good premium stuff on there.
There's also some stuff on iTunes, like podcasts and things like you can't get like the early seasons kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get on Stitcher with I think it's subscribed for like $5 a month or something.
There's a lot of backlogs.
I don't know. I'm just curious. I kind of like Stitcher. So.
All right. Well, maybe I think it just takes a couple, like an email or a click or something. I don't know. It's pretty easy from what I hear. But maybe Stitcher in the future. Yeah. Until next week, gosh, we'll have. I can't say what, but we're gonna have some cool stuff to talk about. Until then, don't forget to. My cats are just making so much noise. Until then, don't forget to game on. Bye, everybody.
I thought we weren't doing it, James.
We're doing it. Charlie!